Hello and welcome to Lift the Cup Fantasy, or LTC Fantasy as some people call it. Today we're going to talk about goalies and D-Men, who to look at via the waiver wire or to pick up by trade. We'll also finish the episode answering some subscribers' questions. So if you do have a question, remember at the end of the video to hit subscribe. Remember the bell so you get notified about future videos, and we'll answer as many of the subscriber questions in the next episode. So let's get right down to it as we're entering into the second half of the fantasy season with a nice COVID break. Monday's game's already canceled, so that's wonderful. A one on Tuesday so far. Hammering all of us in fantasy. Goalie waiver wire. For me, it's Anton Forsberg of the Ottawa Senators to look at. In his last 8 starts, he's 5-2-1, has a 2.59 GAA and a 920 save percentage. Another goalie is Ukko-Pekka Laukkanen of the Buffalo Sabres. He recently called up. He's 2-2 in his last 4 starts. He has a very great 1.96 GAA and an awesome save percentage at 939. You could be asking yourself, Ottawa and Buffalo, why these goalies? Because, well, it's Ottawa and Buffalo, so there's not a whole bunch of wins there the last few seasons. Reason for me is that both of them have kind of taken the reins. Ottawa was a little bit different. They were playing a tandem situation where they're alternating starts till somebody took over. Looks like Forsberg has. And Laukkanen, he was in the minors but called up, and he started take the majority of the starts recently. So if you're looking for a goalie where you need more starts, minutes played, you got room on your bench, I recommend these two. Another goalie to look at is Mike Smith from the Edmonton Oilers. He was really good early on, been injured the last couple of months, but he should be back from injury really soon. They're expecting him right before this lovely COVID break. Or shortly after, and Holland was even quoted as saying that he seems to be very, very close. And one thing I like about Smith is that he is playing in Edmonton, where they are a stronger team, so the win should pile up. Might be a little bit less starts than Forsberg and Laukkanen, but should definitely get some wins there, depending how heavily wins are weighted compared to saves and goals against in your league. Should mention Charlie Lindgren, because see, he's been getting picked up quite a bit lately. For me, he's more of a watch list type player than a waiver claim right now. Simply being is that Binnington is back. He's signed for 6 more years at $6 million per, so they're going to do everything they can to have Binnington be the guy, and I think that's going to hamper how many starts Lindgren gets going forward. For me, it's just not quite worth the risk yet, unless you're as desperate as Britney Spears in your goaltending department. Then definitely put a claim in for him. Otherwise, I'd hold off and have him on my watch list. Now, trade targets for goaltenders. For me, it's Robin Lehner, the Vegas Golden Knights. He did have a minor injury just before the COVID break. Didn't sound like anything major. Year to date, he's ranked 9th in fantasy goaltending. I really do see him from this point going on as a top 5, as high as a top 3 goalie in fantasy. Vegas is relatively healthy, other than a little tweak by Mark Stone, but it's the healthiest they've been all year. And as a challenge for the Pacific Division, I really see him racking up wins. And Brossoit is not really a threat to steal starts from Lehner, other than on backends of back-to-back, but that's when a regular backup plays. So I see him piling up the starts. They're going to ride him. And of course, his stock is already high. I just think getting closer to the fantasy trade deadline, it's only going to get higher. So if you're going to make a move for a goalie, now's the time. D-Men for me on the waiver wire My top pick is Alec Goligoski. Uh, he's been having a very consistent, great season. He has 20 points in 27 games. I always look back in the last month to see how it's been, and in the last 4 weeks, he's had 12 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists. He's been a plus 10, has 8 PIMs, 12 shots on goal, and he's only rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues. So he's definitely available out there, and he's a great bench player when you bring him up, depending on how many games Minnesota has that week. Uh, Another demon. This is again a watch list because he is stuck behind Rowensky in Columbus. That's Adam Boquist. He was a blue chip prospect in the Chicago organization, and he got obviously traded to Columbus. But I look at his last 9 games played. He has 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. He's even. One of those is on the power play. He has 2 PIMs and 14 shots on goal. And he's only rostered in 9% of leagues. That being, he's available almost everywhere. So I would watch his play coming out of the COVID break. He was put on IR on December 10th. He was expected to miss about a week. That pushed to the 17th, and Columbus hasn't played since the 17th. So he should be back fairly soon. I would watch to see how he comes back, how his minutes are, and what his usage is. But that's somebody I would definitely put on my watch list going forward, especially depending on the league and your needs. Trade target for me in fantasy on defense is Torrey Krug. He is 24th ranked D-Man year to date among defensemen. But in the last 2 weeks, he's been a top 5 fantasy defenseman. He does play on the first PP unit in St. Louis. I do see them pushing. He gets tons of minutes. He can be inconsistent at times. Such are a lot of defensemen, unless your name's Hedman or McCarr. But his resume is long enough that I really can't see it being an issue going forward. So that's who I would definitely target, where you might be able to get not a bargain, but since he is ranked as low as 24 year to date, get him on the upswing and use him going forward. That's about it for the demon part of it. Now on to some subscriber questions. I do have one. Says, in a dynasty league and considering dropping Georgiev for Mike Smith, is this a smart move? Now, in a dynasty league, you are going to be looking at age because that always comes into a factor. But Georgiev for Mike Smith, my simple answer is yes. Drop Georgiev for Smith. Few reasons for this. Yes, Mike Smith came into the league when they were still using stone and chisel for scoreboards, but Georgiev is buried behind Shesterkin, and he's young too. It's not like in a couple of years Shesterkin's gonna retire and Georgiev's gonna take over. I simply think Mike Smith definitely for this year, he is signed into next, depending what happens in Edmonton with goaltending. But definitely this year, he's going to get you a lot more wins. And I personally believe that if you drop Georgiev, it's not really a threat for him to get picked up by another team. So it does leave him as an option going forward. Yeah, to me, the simple answer is yes, drop Georgiev for Mike Smith, even in a dynasty league, and considering Mike Smith's age. So I hope you do like today's episode. If you do have any questions, remember to hit subscribe. Remember the bell so you do get notified of future episodes. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And good luck this week.